morning. So I'm a chef, and I love food. I love eating food. I love cooking food. More than anything, though, I love sharing food. Like my daughter, Isadora. Like any good Jewish mother, my favorite way to express my love for someone is through food. And not only for people, but for cities, or for this particular city, Beacon. I moved to the Beacon area about 3 years ago, and Beacon and I became pretty close friends. But it wasn't until after living here for about a year that I really fell in love with Beacon. It was at that time that my husband was injured in a serious accident. He had to be hospitalized for 2 weeks, and I was at home struggling with my 2 little kids. So many people of the community came together to take care of my family and me, without me once asking for help. Word somehow got out that Kai was in the hospital. Acquaintances from my son's school, people I knew only from the occasional play date, came to my house, brought us meals, cleaned my house, watched my kids so that I could go visit my husband and still keep working. I was so deeply moved by this outpouring of support. I had never experienced anything like it in my life. When I said to one of the women, "I can't believe how much you've all done for me," she replied simply, "This is what we do." This experience inspired me to want to give something back to this amazing community. So what could I give? There was really only one option. It had to be food. But I wanted to give this town something that it really, really needs. I wanted to make a meaningful difference to Beacon. And what I think that we need more than anything else is what Ray Oldenburg has called the great good place. Oldenburg defines the great good place as a public place that is the heart of a community's social vitality and that promotes social equality by leveling the status of guests. In other words, the great good place is a place where anyone who enters feels welcome and at ease. Without knowing the specific term for it, I'd actually been dreaming of creating a place like this since I was a kid. When I was 9 years old, I went with my family to Oaxaca, Mexico. I remember so clearly how every day all the locals would go to the town square. They would go after work, after school, around twilight time. People sat, they drank beer, they played dominoes, they talked politics. The kids would run around in the center of the square, and moms would carry their babies on their hips and chat with friends. I wasn't a local, I didn't drink beer, I didn't even speak Spanish at the time, but I remember feeling so comfortable there. I felt really embraced by the community, and I never wanted to come home. I've traveled to many different countries since then, and seen that almost every culture has its version of the great good place. Whether it's a pub in Ireland, a tea house in Egypt, or an outdoor food market in Vietnam. The food and the drink vary, but the experience stays the same. Unfortunately, I think that Beacon, like so many small towns and suburbs in America, is lacking its great good place. There are many wonderful places in Beacon, from the riverfront to the dog park, Dia and the art galleries, all of the great restaurants and bars. Everyone has their place that they go to, but there's no one place where everybody goes. So how can I create a great good place for Beacon? My answer is to start a community cafe. Community cafes are non-profit restaurants that serve locally grown, delicious food with no set prices. Each person pays what he or she can. That's an example of one of the first ones in Denver, Colorado. So it sounds kind of like a crazy idea, right? It did to me when I first heard about it. I thought, that's a great idea, but it could never, ever work. But after experiencing for myself Beaconites' selfless generosity, I thought, perhaps it could work here. And as it turns out, it is working all over the country. There's over 30 community cafes in existence right now in America. Each one is designed a little bit differently to serve its particular town or neighborhood, but each one serves tasty, nourishing food and allows people to pay what they can. Community cafes are so successful because they fill a need that so many of us have. The need to have a third place to hang out, separate from work and home. We all sometimes need a break from the hard work of everyday life, whether that work takes place in an office, on a farm, in a kitchen, or at home. How much healthier and happier would we all be if there was a community cafe in every neighborhood and on every main street? Everyone who walks through a community cafe's door feels warmly welcomed, but what really pulls people in is the food. Because food connects us. It is one of the most basic tenets of our society's social fabric. Almost every major religion teaches the importance of hospitality. That once you share a meal with someone, you're connected to that person forever. Islam teaches that each guest, regardless of religion, must be served well and taken care of. Similarly, in Judaism, it is considered a legal obligation to feed the hungry. And right here in Beacon, my friend Pastor Benson continues the Christian tradition of feeding the hungry by running a food pantry that he started out of his basement. Strong bonds are formed when people cook for each other and sit down at a table together. I bonded with Daniel, a Maasai prince, over bottles of ice-cold Coca-Cola in a rest stop in the outskirts of Nairobi, Kenya. I depended on the kindness of strangers when my car broke down in the middle of the Nevada desert on the loneliest road in America. My so-called friends took off, but I was taken in for the night by a very conservative Mormon tow truck driver. He was able to look past my tattoos, multiple piercings, and shaved head that I had at the time. And over a vegetarian stir-fried dinner, I discovered with his wife that not only were we both vegetarians, but we shared a love for Gene Kelly. Another great dancer. And we wound up, his wife and I, sitting on her very flowery, very pink couch together, sharing a bowl of popcorn and singing along to Brigadoon. Food is an amazingly powerful force. I've seen this over and over again in my own life. It brings people together. It unites communities. However, food can also so often be divisive and dangerous. As I'm sure you know, America has serious food issues. And every day, community cafes work to address these issues. Unfortunately, every day people go hungry. Every day people make unhealthy choices because they lack access to quality food. Community cafes encourage people of all different financial means to come enjoy a meal. People pay what they can, or they volunteer their time if they don't have money in their pocket that day. Other people choose to pay a bit extra to pay it forward. Community cafes draw people in for different reasons. Some come for a low-cost meal. Others come for a healthy meal. Some come for a delicious meal, and still others come to give back to their less fortunate neighbors. Let's think about a guy named Mario. He has experience in masonry and landscaping, but is currently underemployed. He could come to a cafe, eat a delicious, nourishing meal, and instead of paying with money, he would volunteer to work for 3 hours in the restaurant's vegetable garden. Now let's imagine a couple named John and Maria. They both work full-time making good money, but between their jobs, raising their kids, taking care of their house, they don't have time to think about nutrition. When they treat themselves to a night out, they're bombarded with terrible food choices. Fried onion rings, spicy chicken wings. The list is endless. I believe, however, that they would become regular patrons of a local restaurant if that restaurant offered healthy, delicious food in a warm atmosphere. Because most people do want to make healthy choices for themselves and their families if they can. In my work as a nutritional counselor, I learned that people are much more likely to try a new food or change a habit when it's presented to them as a gentle offering. Most people won't change if you try to force them to. I spent years screaming at my sister that vegetarian does not mean ice creamitarian. But she didn't change. In fact, she just got angry with me and resentful. So now we come back to my original idea. What can be my gift to this community? There could only ever be one answer. Food is my passion and my profession. And it has to be healthy food because I don't want to give someone a gift that could wind up hurting them. And it has to be a community cafe because this model offers me my best shot of giving back to the entire Beacon community. The most exciting part is that a community cafe offers more than just a place for me to cook my heart out. It creates the great good place that I've been searching for since I was a kid visiting Mexico. It creates a place where everyone feels welcome. Some people pay what they can, other people pay with their time, others pay a little extra to help out a neighbor. This is what Beacon's been missing. This is what Beacon deserves. This is my gift. Thank you.